welcome to OneMore. I'm Brian Erickson. Each week we bring in two new guests, we sit them down, find out why they're doing what they're doing. Right, Chris?
That's absolutely right, Brian. And this week,
this is Chris Dubrow, our wonderful co-host. We're sitting here at our new location, the Outpost in Asbury Park.
it's lovely. I feel a little bit like a schmuck for wearing like black and like all that. Like I feel like we should be a little more tropical.
I know, I'm wearing like all dark blue.
Do you want to do Hawaiian shirts next week?
Yes.
Let's do Hawaiian shirts and like cargo pants and then
Done.
do a Jimmy Buffett song at the end.
Done. Can we?
Absolutely. We're not doing Margaritaville though.
No, I know. I have songs you know by heart. You know, the greatest hits.
Do you know those songs by heart?
Cheeseburger in Paradise.
That's okay.
What's the other one?
Pirate 40. Okay, yeah.
Dude, I got all. The
Here's
Buffett.
the thing about Cheeseburger in Paradise.
See, there was no Beatles, Beach Boys. It was Buffett.
It was Buffett.
It was Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett has the best album name of all time. You can look this up. It's called Livin' and Dyin' in 3/4 Time. None of the songs are in 3/4 time.
That's a good title.
That's a great album title. It's a Jimmy Buffett album, so take that for what you will.
My parents saw him.
Are your parents parrot heads? Please tell me your parents are parrot.
They're not parrot heads.
You want to clear the air?
They would go to Jones Beach Theater on Long Island. Where
Sure.
They would see him like every year, and they had I think they gave away like shark fin hats because you know there's the song, you know, you got fins to the left, fins to the right.
I don't know.
And you're the
Oh, there's a dog
fin
now.
turn.
Cool.
Oh, can we release that?
Is that cool?
Release the dog.
Is she friendly? Hey, Rebecca. Yeah, we're gonna have a dog wandering around. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. But,
I'm not worried about
we
it.
have two really good guests this week.
I'm excited for them.
Yeah, we've got they're both award nominated, some of the award-winning singers and songwriters. We got Chris Brown and we've got Cranston Dean.
Those are both very exciting. And there's a dog. We're in a new location. This is exciting for me. How was last week, by the way? I have
It was good.
not
We
watched
taped
the
it
episode.
We taped it. We went live from our director Matt Smith's
Who's that?
backyard.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, don't worry about
But,
it.
yeah, we had a couple really good. We had Neil Sabatino and his band Fairmont was on. So yeah, it was cool.
I'll watch it, but I'm hoping you. Did you call me out for not being there?
I don't know. I don't remember. These all just as soon as
It
those
blurs.
cameras go off like this. Chris is looking at us, right? And Chris Brown, our guest. I'm not gonna remember you. I'm gonna walk into Langosta like tomorrow.
And see you and just be like,
oh, hey, Brian, what's up, man? And I'm like, I'm sorry, have we met?
and the answer is
These
no.
These just melt.
Well, we go into
right out of my
autopilot and we just talk over each other the whole time.
Correct,
That's what
yeah.
happens. Speaking of talking over each other, let's talk together and introduce our first guest.
All right, yeah, he's an award-nominated singer-songwriter. Let's bring out Chris Brown.
Hey, man.
Hello, how are you? Yeah.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, pleasure.
So, the pleasure is all ours. Chris, you want to move his mic
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
a little bit?
Let's get that right there. Beautiful.
Right there?
So, so welcome. This is great. This
Yeah.
is like first guest at the new location.
Yeah, I'm stoked for being here. One, and the new location's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how he pulled that off.
It was, quite a bit of wrangling, but we did it. So, so the first song, I want to jump right in. The first song you ever learned to play, at least according to these interviews and pieces on you that I've read, was the Guns N' Roses version of "Knocking on Heaven's Door."
It's a true story.
They play it kind of straight anyway.
Yeah.
But why that intrigued me was because I think as you're, when you learn to play an instrument kind of at a young age, or you're listening to different types of music, there's no irony. Like, and then you maybe get to a point where, maybe there is, and then you kind of circle back around and say, you sort of lean into it and say, some of that, I learned the Guns N' Roses version, and you kind of lean back into that. So what, I guess, I guess talk about like irony and sincerity in your own material, like how you incorporate some of that.
I mean, we all come from a place where you start off, I was really into punk rock and hardcore as a kid. Going to all those kind of shows up at New Brunswick basements and whatnot. And irony, not really prevalent in my lyricism, I feel, but definitely sincerity and storytelling for sure. And just taking cues from bands that I listen to. but I also was like into Bob Dylan, and like, you know, there's like a folk and punk component to like my background as a musician, I feel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I definitely got the sort of folk punk vibe, and that makes sense. You kind of came up. Like, were you a regular at these like the New Brunswick basements and stuff like that? What was that like?
It was the coolest thing on the planet. Like going to shows, like you'd go up with a couple friends, and then like Easton Avenue was the house that a couple houses I used to go to when I was like 17, 18, and there was just like, you know, weekends that, you know, I missed, where like when Sick of It All would come down and play, I missed that show. But like you had some bigger hardcore bands, and like, you know, bands like Lifetime were playing there, the Bouncing Souls, just kids in a basement eating pizza.
Did you see Bouncing Souls in a basement?
I did not get the pleasure to do so.
Man, that would have been so cool.
It would have been
like,
awesome.
now you go see them like right behind us in like Summer Stage. That would have been awesome, seeing them in a crowded basement. You know, 60, 70, I don't know, however many or few people that basement could like.
It broke the fire code for sure.
I'm sure.
I saw them here at the skate park, which was awesome, right behind us.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. When was that?
Probably like somewhere 96, 97, 98, I don't know, somewhere around then.
Nice. So what was it like kind of coming up back then? Because the scene has changed so much, you know, in the last 20 odd years. Especially now, New Brunswick. I mean, now it's, you know, the Court Tavern was kind of the last one standing, and that's
now it's
sort
gone.
Of, you know, last I heard, at least in limbo, if not totally just gone now.
As far as I know, I think it's done, because I had a show scheduled there for September, and I think their nail in the coffin is done.
Oh, that's right. And you guys moved to Yacht Club, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's changed a lot. I grew up here in Asbury from 81 to 91, and we moved. And when I was a kid, you couldn't really go around the corner from where I lived, just because like all the apartments were rooming houses. So it was like, you know, you had drug dealers, hookers, and stuff. And then fast forward to like my teen years, getting dropped off to a show at the Pony or the skate park. You got dropped off in front, you got picked up in front. Like you didn't venture elsewhere for fear of never making it home.
Yeah, and now it's so different. Like you could start there, and you can just kind of make the big round. And,
Yeah.
you know, hit Langosta, hit the Yacht Club, hit the Wonder Bar, hit the hotel now, and now, you know, I don't know what your own feelings are about the reopened Asbury Lanes, but to some that seems to be an option, and to others they kind of stay away. But
I mean, I was going to the lanes when I was like 22 when it first opened, and that was like a home base, and I made a lot of friends there. Went there with a lot of old friends. Like it was a huge hub for the local music scene, especially like the punk scene, the indie scene. But times change, and gentrification isn't always the greatest thing as far as like the arts, but that's kind of like the script. You go to the East Village, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
And you know, you have to embrace the memories of it and the fact that you got like almost 15 years out of an awesome place.
Yeah.
And as I've talked with Jen Hampton before, and she'll be the first to tell you, like Asbury Lanes is a community of people, not four walls. And I think that's something to go forward, that like anyone who was able to hang out there at any moment in time, I feel like that is something to take with you.
Yeah, that's a good way to resolve it too. That it's more about the community than the actual building.
Yeah, we just had a show at Langosta Friday night that Pork Chop, the local muralist, helped put together with Very Be Careful, and they used to only play at the Lanes, but the whole crowd was like a bunch of my friends who used to all hang out at the Lanes. So it was like you find other places to share that space and share that that vibe.
So I want to keep the topic on Asbury. So I read an article from 2014 regarding your album Anchor, and there was a quote in there that said the title of his album and many of the tracks are a nod to Asbury Park, which he considers his life's anchor. And you already kind of mentioned a little bit of your relationship to the city, but how has kind of basically coming up in this area, even back 15, 20 years ago, before it underwent this, I don't call it a renaissance, but just all these changes that are bringing new people in. How did just kind of coming up in this area influence the direction of your music and your pursuit of music?
I think it just, it's always been home. It's always been like a home base, and as far as musical direction, like, I mean, one thing, if you're a New Jersey musician, everyone assumes that you're a huge fan of Bruce Springsteen. And or you're I'm not. I mean, I think he's a great songwriter. I don't love his music though, and
Okay.
I've gotten into many arguments about this, and like, I don't care. Like, if I met the dude, I'm sure he was a nice guy, but that didn't drive me to music. Like, I remember texting a friend when he had an advanced copy of like the '59 Sound, because he worked in A&R at Sony Records at the time, and they were
Just turned 10
possibly
years, too.
it did. So they were talking about maybe bringing them on the Sony, and he gave me the advanced copy, and I listened to it. I remember texting him being like, this is more important to me than any Bruce Springsteen album ever was.
Yeah.
And just because I was a punk rock kid at heart, and like, it was cool to hear some dudes from Red Bank, Shrewsbury, New Brunswick,
Yeah.
doing something that they're all now they're on a huge scale.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Gaslight is, in terms of that kind of music, like there are a few bands that are visible with a sound like that. Yeah, that's sort of that album's kind of been entered into the, as you would say, like the canon.
The canon of New Jersey.
Kind of in its own right.
Yeah.
Now that's like a sort of a classic Jersey record in its own way, because it took that sort of New Brunswick like basement aesthetic with the kind of rollicking like Bruce feel, and it put those two together.
For sure.
Your dad has had a real profound impact on your music.
For sure.
He's performed on your records. I understand like he's kind of helped a little bit with songwriting, or not. I don't want to say maybe helped, but you guys have collaborated together. Talk about what's the support from the family.
Oh, it's always been 100%. Like, my parents have always been supportive of like doing music. I grew up in a house where my dad played at church every Sunday, and he played in bars and clubs on the weekend nights. I've played with him in church for many years. I've performed with him in bars and clubs. I brought him on to record on some stuff because he's a phenomenal singer. It's funny because he's an amazing interpreter of songs as like a cover artist, but he never really ventured into songwriting. And for me, the only reason I ever picked up a guitar was I was like, well, one day I want to be on stage and I want to sing songs and I want people to sing along to or resonate with something that I have to say.
Well, I mean, I think at least so far so good in that respect. The video you standing on the bar over at Bond Street, and everybody's like, glasses raised, kind of singing along with you, and how do you feel like you are, in a way, kind of paying respect to what your family sort of passed to you? Like you said, your dad's more of an interpreter. Do you feel like you've taken that and added the element of original songwriting? Like you took what he gave you and you said, you know what, I like this, but I'm going to take it, you're going to put your own stamp on it by becoming a songwriter.
I mean, doing just both, because when we play out together, we'll play covers together, and then like we'll throw in some of my original songs in a set, and then it's just I hope it's in homage to them and out of respect to them, because growing up in a household that supported music, like, he let me dig through his records and mess with his. I only broke his needle a couple times.
A couple times.
But he'd let me, like, when he wasn't home, I'd like bring my amp out on the pool deck, and like I'd be like playing along really badly to records and annoying the neighbors. But
what were some of those favorite records that you'd pick out of his collection? Parents' collection.
What did I pick out of? Well, thanks to Beavis and Butthead, I really wanted to learn the riff to Smoke on the Water.
Okay. That's valid.
Took you a couple of years. You finally nailed it.
Yeah, those three or four notes were rough.
It's hard when getting started.
And then what else? I listened to, like, I kind of like put myself through musical school at home, whether it be like listening to all of Led Zeppelin, listening to a ton of Bob Dylan, and the Beatles was always like our thing.
Yeah.
Like, even as little kids, my dad would take like the more obscure, fun Beatles songs, like Obla Di Obla Da and Rocky Raccoon and Yellow Submarine and all like that fun stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
And that we would like, he would just play those for us, and we'd be like, play it again.
Yeah, I would always say, like, there's if you took all the Beatles records, particularly from kind of that mid, I guess around Revolver forward, there's about 10 or 11 songs you could take And there's basically the Beatles made a secret children's album
100%.
in there with that, or like All Together Now, or Piggies, and Octopus's Garden. Like there's, and I remember similarly like coming up as a kid, being, oh yeah, you know, my dad would be like, yeah, let's play Come Together. Like, no, skip to Octopus's Garden. You know, skip to like Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a kid, you just kind of like you know, you sort of get to the easy melodies, the thing that kind of catches your ear right away. So that's really cool too, that you had that kind of same experience.
No, I think it's fun. I didn't even put it together, but yeah, they definitely have. Like they could put out a children's record.
Yeah. I mean, if they ever, you know, if the Beatles ever like need money, you know, if they suddenly become part of it, they can just.
I don't know.
Beatles children's album.
I saw Paul last fall. He doesn't need any money. His tickets
I'm sure they're doing just
were substantial.
So I want to circle back. You said you played a little bit of church music with your dad, and as a working musician, you've kind of been not, I don't want to say all over the map, but you can focus on different things. You've played in church. Obviously, you've got a handful of original, a handful of records with your own originals on there. Played there was like goat yoga, and you provided this sort of ambient live.
Yeah, it wasn't goat yoga. It was live yoga. It was beach yoga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played ambient music on the beach for yoga.
Now, what, you know, because it seems like you could see the path to, you know, church music and you know, original songwriting. But what, you know, do you play ambient music often, or is that?
It's more like I'm a big fan of it. Like I love like Explosions in the Sky and like Sigur Rós, Chemtrail, local guys who are friends who are really great. I've always enjoyed listening to it, and I bought an EBO a few years ago, and so
That'll do it.
I started incorporating that into my live set, where like I have like the Ditto X2 looper, and so like I do a lot of live looping now, not even in just bar gigs, but in my original gigs, and just like messing around with it on stage. And I used to practice a lot of yoga, and I got away from it, but I've always enjoyed it, and I think live music and yoga is a really cool juxtaposition.
Yeah.
So I'm doing another one September 22nd with my friend Krista Russo. She's doing like this big thing at Edel House Farm, which is an alpaca farm in Wall. So there will be alpacas and yoga and ambient music. It's gonna be crazy.
You wanna go?
Yeah, 100%. I want to
We're gonna
go.
go to this, right?
I feel like
You
spiritual
watch two
kinship.
People whose combined heights are 12'5".
I did yoga through all of college.
Alpaca yoga.
Yeah, I'll fight an alpaca. You don't know me, man.
They're mean, dude.
No, they're little assholes. I know.
Yeah. They spit at you, and
They're like llamas, but worse. And they know that they're worse than llamas, so they're angry about it.
they're just pretentious because their fur is valuable.
They're pretentious.
Well, yeah, I think an alpaca is a little more of a pretentious animal. than
Hey,
a llama.
alpacas, take a step back. That's our call out of the week.
So you're playing the one of the Making Waves summer concerts.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up. You've got you're on there with Hot Blood and Little Vicious and Doc Rotten, and who's the other Crazy in the Brains? Yeah. And then there's you.
Yes, sir.
So how do you feel about kind of being the outlier on a show like that? Because the music that you make is not at all really similar to that. Like, what do you think?
I mean, growing up as a punk rock kid, like one of the things that is a link is that all of us recorded with Pete Steinkoff at Little Eden.
Okay.
And like Pete, when I was looking for producers for my first full-length Anchor and then for One More Night, I remember growing up, Maniacal Laughter didn't leave my tape deck when I was like a kid, and like I went to go see them so many times. And so when I found out, like I had friends like Angie from The Obvious and my buds in Lost in Society, they'd all had recorded with Pete, and all of us growing up as fans of the band, I was like, hey, what was your experience like? Did you love working with him? They're like, yo, honestly, he's a phenomenal producer. And I also know that he did a lot of acoustic recordings with like Chuck Reagan and Brian Fallon and Tim Barry.
Nice.
And I'm like, well, those are all punk guy troubadours that that kind of thread that line of like ballroom sing-alongs, but it's kind of taken away the grit of punk rock and kind of making it a little more mellower, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I love the treatment of the recordings he had done. And so when he and I became buds when I was bartending at Bond Street. And so I asked him one night at the Asbury Lanes, and I was like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing a record. I'd love to produce it. And he was like, okay. So that's kind of where that came from. And then getting back to the show where we all have recorded with him.
Yeah.
I've opened up a lot of punk rock shows where like I played with like Lost in Society and the Scandals and Two Fisted Law. I even did a thing for the Bouncing Souls when they aired their documentary for the film festival a few years ago.
Cool.
And yeah, I'm actually going to be doing a song with Hot Blood that night, later on in the night.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I like that threading that line of like I can go play a very folky, traditional kind of acoustic show, and then I can go open up a punk hardcore show. And
that's great then, because I know some, it's not the easiest thing. Like it can be intimidating for some to kind of go up there solo acoustic when the rest of the night is just going to be is just going to be loud and raucous and things like that. So like that's pretty great.
It's a challenge, I guess, in some degree, if you think about it in terms of like if you're trying to win people over. But the reality is like no matter what you're playing as a musician, I feel if you go up there and if you're leaving it all on the stage, then I think people will respond, whether good or bad or indifferent. Maybe you'll learn for the next time. But so I think it's fun to play those shows because punk rock kids are into all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and I find it's like a very accepting community.
Yeah, and I think there's now in 2018, like it's so many offshoots of derivatives, and like, you have like someone like Travis Barker who drums in hip hop and then drums in punk rock and then like everything in between. Yeah. And it's like he's got cred in all circles. Matt Skiba is still, for me, the singer of Alkaline Trio, but for him in Blink-182, I took my niece to see him, and it was awesome.
Can I tell you, like, that's actually, I kind of really like that album.
It's a great record.
I actually really like that album, and
they had two singers who could sing.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Tom.
No, I'm sure Tom DeLonge's doing just fine too.
I'm sure he is. With his aliens.
He's got some aliens to find. He's not worried about our opinions on his music.
No.
So your last record, One More Night, it came out in December of 2016. Are we getting something new soon?
Yeah,
what's in the works?
I've been like kind of stagnant. I had a kid. He just turned 2.
Oh wow!
A couple days ago.
Congratulations!
Thanks,
happy birthday to
Aiden.
I'm sorry.
Little Aiden.
Aiden, happy birthday to Aiden.
Yeah, I'm still here, so he didn't kill me yet.
Not yet.
He's trying.
But he's only 2, so you got a long way to go.
So that's kind of been like a focus for my wife and I. Like she's an artist and she paints, so we try and give each other breaks to like do our musical and artistic creativity stuff. But I've been writing a lot lyrically.
You think some of the experiences of domesticity, are you going to make that? Are you going to make like a Nilsson Schmilsson? I'm married, I've got kids now. Like, is that what's going to come next?
No.
Is the Boring album coming up next?
No, it's not the
like
Boring record.
Brown Schmrown.
I have one of the songs I'm playing tonight. I wrote the day I found out that we were having a boy.
Okay.
But beyond that, no, my songs are still. I've been writing a lot lyrically. I'm very observational. I'm an historian by education. I got my master's in history, and I love to write from like the vantage point of like taking what I've heard from my friends or conversations or things I've seen, and kind of juxtaposing and threading a narrative that's like rooted in truth, but there's I take some liberties with.
Excellent. And I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
Before we wrap up, since
I didn't hit Rihanna.
Wow. All right. Well, that's I was not going to bring up the two the names, but hey, that's you brought it up.
I like to quote Office Space. Why should I change? He's the one who sucks.
Yeah.
I
agree with that. Yeah, and yes, you were.
But when he sings "When a Man Loves a Woman," doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. Michael Bolton.
Yes,
not
of course.
Not the. See, but and this ties into the question. In maybe the rest of the world, there's that Chris Brown, but here you are the Chris Brown here, and to that to that effect, I ask you my last question. Since you're so closely associated with Asbury Park, what concerns, or if any, do you have about like getting stuck, and what do you do, more importantly, to make sure that your music continues to follow the path that you want it to follow?
I feel like it's a running joke that anyone who's been around here, like, you can play the Asbury circuit and you can get caught up in playing those same shows, hitting like Happy Mondays to playing the Saint to playing, formerly the Asbury Lanes. Obviously, they're still doing local shows, but
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for like cutting your teeth and like dialing in your sound. I was talking with like Cranston earlier off set, and just like, my first time I was actually going to take the steps and like attempt to do a tour with my bud Sammy K. We were talking about it, and then that's when I found out that we were having a kid, and I was like,
oh man,
well, that's not going to really fly. Like, and I was very focused. I used to be a teacher prior to working in bars, and that was really my concentration and focus in life. So I was still playing music, but I wasn't as active as I have been the last 8 or 9 years since I was laid off from teaching. And I feel like that was the demarking line to like, you know what, I'm gonna live life on my terms, and I'm gonna work, bartend, now I'm a bar manager / bartender, and then play music. And that's been a sustainable, happy life. I've never been happier. I think to not get stuck, you just gotta keep writing and persevering, trying to play out of the area when you can.
Yeah.
And then shit, man, you're playing music. What's really wrong? Whether you're playing in your own backyard or 300 miles away. At the end of the day, if it makes you happy as a creative person to like have that outlet and people are responding to it on top of it, then life's okay.
Great. I think that's a good note to end on. Chris Brown, everybody.
Thanks for having me,
so
guys. Cheers. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Cool.
We'll bring up our next guest. He's an award-winning performer and multi-instrumentalist from the Atlantic Highlands. Let's bring out Cranston Dean.
Do we have Cranston?
Do we have him? Is he
Do we
here?
have a Cran? Cranston, we just introduced you.
That's all right. That's all right.
Cranston Dean, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry guys, I brought presents. I brought some presents. I had to go to the store for some presents.
Oh yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Isn't it Prime Day?
Is it?
I have no idea. I don't have the internet.
It
I don't
was.
actually own a computer, so I don't know.
But they've been having problems all day with the oops.
Oh, have they?
Something went wrong
The
on our end.
503
Yeah.
server error.
Yeah, and I tried to get your gifts on Amazon Prime.
But you had to go to the
I had to go to the
regular old
you know?
store.
I'm excited to see what those presents are as I
Yeah.
fix my mic.
Yep.
So we're gonna find out on
Is this
air.
a present for me? What is
You
this?
didn't have
this
it.
is our
we'll get there.
sponsor.
Oh.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, this is our sponsor for the week, but we're going to talk about that after we talk to you
Cool,
first.
cool.
Hey,
So
Cranston.
this has
What's
been
up,
a long time coming. So the three of us are actually playing a show together. Another one of those Making Waves summer shows. We're playing on August 11th at the brewery. The Burns and Tara Dente. Chris is playing. Obviously, you and Cranston Dean Band, myself, and the Paper Jets. So this is kind of a nice
little
nice
thing.
sort
I think
of
we do that.
pre-show.
We do that once a quarter. I think once a
Yeah.
fiscal quarter. There's a show that all.
fiscal-
Every
quarter.
every full moon, we have to play a show together,
Yeah.
or else the curse will continue.
Yeah.
And the curse will continue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you released an album last year called High Beams. It's your fourth record total, third full length, fourth in 5 years, all that, and I'm sorry. By the way, I just want to. Pardon me for my allergies. By the way, I'm not
with you.
like, oh man, yeah. So just so we can clear the air, I'm not going to try to hide it. I'm leaning into this cough now, guys.
Definitely
So
cough into the mic every time.
I will not. That's all right. These aren't our mics, so it's okay. So you released this album, all sorts. Hey, Abby the dog,
Abby
right?
wants my beer though.
Okay, so you released this record
Can't get no love.
last year. NJ.com called it one of the 17 best of 2017. How's it doing?
It's
Like
Not
how's
doing
it
well.
going?
at all. It's doing well in that I think the people that
Like, how are people responding to your tunes, though? How
I
are they?
haven't had people come up and go, "This is terrible." So I think that's a win. I haven't had a bunch of people come up and buy it either, but you know, slowly but surely. I also welcome anybody who ever wants to download my music for free and try to sell it on the local street corner. I invite that everywhere I go. You can try it, pedal it off. Like, you can get the jacket with like I got Cranston CDs for you, baby. Like,
Oh no, I put your album on BitTorrent. I've been.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm torrenting it.
See,
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's going out there. He's
It's on
got like a
Pirate Bay.
secret Russian server.
Yeah,
that
we're
he's got
hacking
all your
elections and releasing
records,
Cranston Dean
yeah,
albums.
Exactly. You
Are
and
you
Ed
telling
Snowden.
me that those Russian porn star accounts that come out of Facebook for
They're big fans of you. Yeah,
They're actually just if you
click.
click on it, it actually downloads one of your records.
That's awesome.
Not the new one though. It was the last one. Sarajevo.
They're
right.
a little
That's
bit behind.
Is
yeah.
that how you pronounce it?
Sarajevo.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned
Well, ask
something
him.
today.
He's the one who wrote it.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Well, apparently I'm not. I'm not from Bosnia Herzegovina, but apparently that's how they do it. Although I think it looks like a Spanish-speaking word, so I always want to say Sarajevo. But
Yeah, that's what I figured.
That's what you'd think it would
Well,
be.
that's-
No, but it's
It's not.
Eastern European.
Well, I learned something.
So yeah, no, you did. You did.
Carry on with your interview. if you
So
will.
I found in some of your songs kind of these bits of relatable humor. Now, there's you've got a line on the first song of your new record that you said, like, your mother always worries about your long drives. And as someone whose mother also worries about his long drives, I don't mean that as like sarcasm or anything. I found that very sort of relatable, and how much of that is sort of this conscious effort, and how much of it just kind of you're done and you just find these sort of bits in the material.
I mean, I want to come out with like a great, like,
That's all right.
really heady
dude. This is
answer, like-
YouTube, okay? This is
But YouTube
it's fine.
lives forever. I've seen some funny videos from back in the day. You know, it's more than just cat videos now.
Well, yeah, no,
It's great.
on a scale of like 1 to chocolate rain, we're probably somewhere before the 50-yard
Oh,
line.
Cool. All right. Well, then in that case, then I won't go with the highbrow answer that I want history to remember
Go
me
with the
by.
high beams answer.
It'll be the high beams answer, and I think I find one good line and then just try to rhyme with that line. I think that's just how it goes. I don't think it's as highbrow as it should be.
But I find your records too have this almost like this 50-50 split between songs like that, where not that they're light, but there's this sort of lightheartedness to them, and then you also have these songs where you that evoke nostalgia or sadness, and to that effect too. Is that do you make an effort to kind of balance that, or does that also just kind of come
I think
as
that,
a result of your process?
I guess the process for me is just that, like, nobody wants to write the same song twice, and I think like everybody I know that writes, like Dan Appy, he'll write a song, but the next song he writes is a little bit off in the other direction, and I think that's just because you go, did I do that just before? Like, I think I just did that, so let's not do that and go
again
over that way,
So I wanted to ask too, what as I listen through your records, I find that it seems like there are certain common influences that not particular artists unless you want to get into them, but I find there's things like folk and gospel and traditional music, and then there's stuff that almost sounds sort of like modern pop songwriting, and like a song like Fog on the Bay sounds like it could have come from last year or 40 years ago. What kind of what sort of hold do these influences have on your material, or the way you present your material?
I think the influences themselves are just my friends anyway. Like, I have a friend, Max Carmichael, and he's just like a folky to the upteenth level. He always jokes he plays the hits from the 1850s and onward.
I like that.
He does a lot of old folky songs, and so we'll pass around songs. And so, like, for Fog on the Bay, I was definitely influenced by a lot of the stuff he showed me. But the other stuff that kind of, like, is more on the poppy range, it's from my bandmates. And,
Okay.
like, they just, I don't know about what your dynamic is driving, but there's, like, in ours, there's two people who have control over what music we listen to in the car. Like, I have zero control over what music we listen to.
That's
it's always
funny.
Ike Boy and Ty, because they're bullies, you know what I mean? Like, big bullies.
Oh
And,
man, I like Ike too. He's so tender though.
Yeah.
Is he really a bully? Like
yeah,
I don't.
yeah, when you get him and Ty together, they're bullies, man. And
So they
gang up
enable
on
each
you.
other because by himself he's just such a loving and tender
he's a
individual.
bass player. I mean, how much of a bully can a bass player until he takes off a bass string and starts snapping? Like, do you really want to listen to that album? You know, it gets pretty.
And
intense.
the answer is no.
No.
The answer is
So
no,
they-
sir, no, sir.
So they forced me to listen to a lot of D'Angelo, which I now hold near
that's
and dear to
great.
my heart. Yeah, that's just smart,
mean, like-
smart bullies. You know what I mean? They're good bullies.
Bullies with your best intentions.
Yeah,
in
like a
heart.
bully that's like, that's a bad investment. You don't make that investment. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good, you know.
Yeah, I mean it could be a lot worse. They could make you listen to like Kansas or something.
I feel like that might have been the one I would, because I'm so late on so many musical trends. I'd be like,
Just finding out about Kansas.
Kansas,
yeah.
wow, yeah,
you
40.
heard this? Look, I can even
Oh,
pick
man,
it
check
on the
this
guitar.
out, guys. So you studied at University of the Arts in Philadelphia. You studied jazz piano.
Did.
Now, how did the study of such a complex form help you develop your songwriting chops?
Oh man, I think my songwriting chops are based on a lot of misery, and I think jazz school brings out the misery in everybody. Like,
Well, there's
like,
there's a lot of blues. You know, we talked about a little bit of the traditional folk and gospel and stuff
No,
before, but there's a
definitely.
lot of gospel. There's a lot of blues. There's a lot of those traditional forms in jazz.
I mean, definitely, especially like modern jazz. I mean, like what's going on now. Like, has anybody heard Kamasi Washington? This guy,
His album is brilliant.
incredible. And when I was going to jazz school, it was looked down upon to play jazz over a boom bap. You know, like you couldn't do a hip hop beat
Yeah.
or a funk beat and then play jazz over it. But then like Snarky Puppy and like now Wolfpack. There's all these bands.
Oh
that
yeah,
have-
Wolfpack changed that.
they
Yeah,
changed the
Kamasi
game
and
of it. Kamasi did
Thundercat too. Although
Oh,
he's more like
definitely.
R&B, but he and Kamasi work
And
together
they'll
too.
work together. That's the thing. So I guess like to go back to the original one, jazz school shaped me because it really did break down my psyche, because it's a very competitive style of music in general, and then when
Yeah.
you get put in this like confined space with all these great musicians from around the country and around the world, it was like, wow, I am not a very good piano player at all. However, that really beat me up, and then I started writing songs and found there was like a songwriting community in Philadelphia that was a lot more accepting and a lot less competitive, and that was a really great thing for me. So jazz school beat me down while teaching me seventh chords and all the chord extensions. Music theory, I got it. Oof. But I can't really apply it on the piano because I would be listening. You asked me earlier, like, what's my favorite jazz pianist, and it's a guy named Brad Meldau.
Oh, Waltz for JB.
All that stuff,
Oh
man.
God, that song is incredible. I love
like-
the stuff he did with John Bryan, Highway Rider, and Largo
Heard
and
that,
stuff.
man.
Oh yeah,
I
the
like
two
the
albums.
Brad Meldau trio stuff that
Yeah.
he's doing.
Yeah, he's got the two records he did with John Bryan, Largo and Highway Rider. Highway Rider's double, so you get 3 records worth of music, and yeah, John Bryan's a brilliant composer and producer in his own right. So those two guys together in the room, but oh wow, I like him too.
Oh, man.
That's my short, that's my long version of
who
saying I
was
really like him
listening
too.
to, like all the time. So I would like, and people of that caliber.
Yeah.
And then I would get down to the practice studio and be like, I can't do that at all. It's impossible for me. And then when I found like Bob Dylan, I was like, oh, I can nail
This is
that
easy.
organ thing right
Yeah.
there. Yay, I can play Bob Dylan.
Yeah, because he's got a guy like Al Cooper, who can play anything, but he's just doing, the dinosaur,
Can keep
the
it right into
the
what the
dinosaur
song
clause.
meant, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you've succeeded. You started talking a little bit about your band before, so I want to pivot to that. You've succeeded in largely keeping the same band together, or at least your two people I think are your two main musical lieutenants, Ike and Riley Shiro. What difference do you think it makes having a consistent group behind you?
I mean, I think that definitely makes all the difference. There's the sound of like a studio album where like a songwriter goes in down in Nashville or something, and then they have a studio band come around them, and yeah, those players are really tight, but you could kind of like hear it's like almost too tight. There wasn't enough of like that's our sound anyway. That's how we do it consistently. I don't know, and you could I don't want to say I could actually hear the difference.
I think it's more a feel.
These
like
guys
if I
aren't
could,
a real band, they don't actually like love each other like that. But it is there's a feel to it. Like there's an energy that you get from having a bunch of people that like care about you outside of making this record. So that hopefully comes into that. Like you guys have that, Burns have that. Like, oh, Chris.
I never heard of the Burns, but they sound like a bunch of assholes to me.
Great.
Yeah, Chris can neither confirm nor deny the existence of a band that may or may not be called the Burns.
Nope, nor can I confirm or deny Avery and the Man Devils or Dave Mooney and Viewers.
It's like the
Yeah.
Russian
Or
gang.
Nor am I guilty of the murder of Nicole. Okay. No, but there is something to be said for a group of guys or a group of people that have been playing the same song or have been playing it out and learned it together and found how to make it breathe, found where it's tight. Like, it's different than when you go and it's like, yeah, here are the chords, here are the changes, here's the feel. There is something there. Whether or not you can pinpoint it, you can feel it.
Yeah, I think we kind of settled on that it is a feel more than it is anything else. That aesthetically, nobody knows that the Attractions didn't play on Elvis Costello's first record, but you can definitely feel the difference between the first one and the second one, because people get more invested in the music when they know they're kind of a permanent fixture versus people that are just making however much an hour you're paying them to play your stuff.
And with Ike Boy and Riley, I mean, like, we've been like playing shows together, traveling together.
Speaking of Ike Boy. Hey, Ike Boy!
Hey.
Ike Boy,
Heck
when you get
yeah.
here, just come on in.
Is he here?
Sweet, man.
He's over there.
Oh,
With
get
Ty.
out of here.
Yo, what's up, baby?
So as I was saying about, and we were
to the front.
talking about bullies before. Here come my two bullies.
We got two bullies on there.
Wow.
We're absolutely
we got
gonna
the
bring
light
on
too.
Ike Boy.
Good.
All right. Well, we don't have too much time there, but we'll make sure we have time for them to come through and make a quick cameo. So one of the very first lines on your first record is, "I don't do it for the glory, I just do it to get by." What's changed between then and now? Because that was 2013,
Yeah.
right? That was your first EP.
So bar gigs is the only thing I think that's changed. And to get by then was to not have a mental breakdown and blow my brains out, and to get by now is just to make enough scratch to pay my bills. That's the only reason anybody would play a 3-hour gig in the first place. Those are terrible things to play. But they're terrible on your voice. No, I don't want to play John Denver,
But you do it.
But you do it because that $20 going into your tip jar sure looks nice,
And you can get a Rocky Mountain High.
And
Was
you
that
can-
John Denver?
Yes,
I think it is.
that was.
I
What a
would get-
terrible pilot he was. May we know,
Oh,
right?
Jesus. Who's the guy who wrote If You Can Only Read My Mind? Who was that?
Oh, Gordon Lightfoot.
I get those two confused all the time.
That's correct.
Thank you for having that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Talk to me about David Hayes a little bit, because he kind of was playing with you the last 2 years, and tragically passed not that long ago. 2 weeks ago, something like that.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
And he was a little bit older than the rest of you guys.
He was considerably older, man, and he was like we called him Uncle Dave, man. Sorry, I'm not letting you get the question.
No. This is you. This is your answer. It's not my question. It's your answer.
Awesome. If I could talk about David Hayes, he kind of came out of the blue, and we'd always kind of been playing like alt country music, sort of like that was one of the the things we'd throw in there. And he came out to the open mic I host up at the Pickle, and he just brought his pedal steel with him. And I've never seen a pedal steel guitar loaded into an open mic ever
Like a
in
real
my life.
pedal steel, not just like a lap steel, like a
real pedal steel. He would get mad if you called it a lap steel because he's
Okay.
like, well, look what I got to do with my knees and my pedals. And I
yeah.
have to load in so much more than a lap steel player. But then he started sitting in with us, and then he just we were recording high beams, and he fit on a lot of those. So then we just kind of made him like a permanent fixture in the band, and we got to travel with him. We got to spend a lot of good time with him, and I don't know, he'd seen a lot. He was a truck driver, like a commercial truck driver for most of his life.
Yeah.
Hauling like loads of chemicals. So like I think truck driving in general is pretty dangerous because like you're driving tons and tons of metal and glass down the highway. But when you factor in like if you crash, you have a chemical spill to deal with that you're probably like right at the center of. I think that was a crazy thing. But he was so happy to be playing music. He wasn't getting jaded by like, oh, here's another gig, I gotta load in and load out. He was just like, I'm not driving a truck right now, I'm doing what I always wanted to do. And
He was able to maintain the level of joy
definitely
about playing music.
And it's not that I don't have joy playing music and I don't get joy from it all, but like I'm not mentally right yet. I'm trying to get there. I'm not totally mentally right, and I'm better than I was in jazz school. But he would just keep hitting me up with these things because he was so excited about playing, and I would get aggravated. And I think the last time we spoke together, I was very salty towards this man, and like that's what I kind of remember by. I know he's not like in the afterlife thinking like, ah, damn you, Cran. I know he still loves me and all that, but I want to be less salty in my lifetime.
What would you tell him if he were here?
I would
right
tell
now?
him,
What would you
Uncle
tell
Dave,
him right now?
I miss you, buddy. I would tell him that he could drink every single rock and roll band I've ever met in Park under the. He could, man. That whiskey, man. And I think I would tell him I'm going to be a nicer, less salty person as time goes by. Speaking of which, I was salty to you recently, and I have a gift. Can I bring up a gift for you real quick?
Okay.
Sweet. My whole thing. I'm a Vice guy. I'm very into vices, and my new vice is I got pennies for us too.
Oh, I got quarter.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
I like
Loose-
to do pennies
You got
for
it.
scratch
Can we
offs.
get it? Can we get it?
Here's why. I want to do these are the loose change from the NJ lottery. These are the new
Wow.
edition with our new governor's name on it. Here's a penny. I like to do.
Wow, this is a live scratch
You
off.
gotta get
What's the
more than
rule?
$1, and I like to go with pennies because it's like a luck thing, you know, starting from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, start.
I got it.
You
I
can't-
read the
you gotta
thing,
go
I
to
read
a
the
dollar
thing.
and one. So my prize is $2.
My
Right.
prize is
20,
20.
31.
Scratch the player.
That's a
If
good one.
coins
Nah.
add to over $1, win the prize.
A dime and a 5. All right, give me 250s.
75, 85.
I did not
90.
win.
I had 92 cents, guys. I was almost there.
God.
Almost there.
I didn't win either. I'm sorry.
That's
my
all
gift
right.
Didn't pan out, but it's the
No,
excitement. It's the
it's-
thrill of the
that
game.
was a thrill. That was a
The
thrill.
thrill of
Okay.
anticipation. So I do. Oh, I've got one more question for you. Now, you've expressed publicly that you wish that your music would be more widely exposed. What do you think it's going to take for yourself or another artist of your caliber, to kind of, even the question I asked about Chris Brown about, kind of getting stuck or playing out and things like that. What do you think it would take for someone like you to kind of break out of this area or this scene, if that's something that a person wants to do?
Man,
How do you how do you
something
think
we
you could
wrestle with, like,
how
all
do you
the
think you
time,
could facilitate that change?
I mean, I guess it definitely comes from having like proper management, maybe responding to emails and text messages on my part. I can start with that. But I think, like, I don't know, we talk about it all the time, my boys and I. We'll spend the whole night talking about just what do we got to do, because I don't want to These are the clothes I wear, man. Like, if somebody wants to come dress me up and that's gonna come get me, like, come dress me up. If somebody wants to give me sponsorships, come give me sponsorships. But aside from that, I'm just gonna stay like this. And so I want to find a way to make it within those parameters without having to change like and nitpick things about ourselves. So I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I guess our strategy at the moment is just to go hit up the Northeast as much as we can. We have good friends and family up in Maine that support us, and just trying to build and connect the dots in between. But as far as getting it onto that bigger level, I mean, I have no idea. I need to put my stuff on like Spotify and all those streaming platforms, but I have my grandma's hand-me-down computer from like 1999 or something. This thing is not running well at all, and so I don't know. If anybody wants to manage us, if Bruce Springsteen wants to swing down and help some boys out from Jersey, come on down, boss.
Do you consider yourself from South Jersey?
Oh, hell no.
Okay, good.
Is that a real thing?
God only knows.
I've
Ryan?
always considered South Jersey and North Jersey, pardon me, considered North Jersey to be West New York and South Jersey to be East Philadelphia and Central Jersey to be the true New Jersey.
This is indeed the true New Jersey.
You heard it here first, folks.
You
Ladies
heard
and
it here
gentlemen.
first. Cranston D.
Cranston.
Thank you.
guys.
Cran, thank you so much, dude. You're the best. I have to run over here. Ryan, I have to join you. Hold on.
Wait. Are we doing? Well, we gotta get Chris set up,
Yeah,
right?
no, well, he's going to do it. I'm going to be over here. Hold on. Okay, so we got a new sponsor.
We gotta get him set up.
He knows? Chris, you want to come over and start plugging in? Yeah. All right, while we're doing that, let me
Oh wait. Well, is Cranston?
Oh, sorry.
I'm
I'm going to do this.
Sorry.
You want to?
Are you sitting on my lap?
I'm going to sit on your lap. We'll figure this out another time. Hi, is that good? Are you good? Are you comfy? Because I'm comfy.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of One More Brian Erickson is brought to you by Guyaki Organic Yerba Mate. Let me get that. Yerba mate. You didn't give me that pronunciation.
I did.
This refreshing beverage combines the strength of coffee with the health benefits of tea to get you through the day without that dreaded. I'm gonna take my sip. Without the dreaded crash. Scientifically tested for 4 years by friend Lindsay Marie, offering a sense of heightened focus and an array of flavors. There's literally no excuse to not go.
Just have mine.
It's not working. It's no excuse not to go to your friend's show. Okay, while we're doing this, while we're getting set up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give a crew shout out because these guys all came in today, so thank you to Matt Responti for doing this. Jay, Clint, Rob, and Morgan, you guys are the best. You came in at the last moment. Brian, how does it feel?
I mean, a little.
He loves it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Chris, oh, we're not ready yet. Okay, I got to keep buying time. Do you guys hear the joke?
Are we ready?
Are we ready? Oh, what do you?
Well, come on.
Well, stop yelling at us, Matt. God. Yeah. Well, we just gave out our crew shout out. In the meantime, Ike, how you doing?
Doing good.
Ike's doing great, ladies and gentlemen.
Playing over at Snug Harbor on Thursday.
All right, now ready, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Brown in parentheses AP.
What's up, guys? I don't often admit that I'm scared, or when I'm feeling unprepared. But it's those times that I look to the sky, asking God, can you help me down here? Well, I know that you're feeling alone, and you're trying to feel more at home. Well, baby, don't cry, I'm right by your side. You'll never have to go it alone. lives all the forever. Hope our blessings, they stay the same. And we'll make our own love. If that's not enough, at least we tried our best at this game. Well, we found out we're having a son, and I hope he's as kind as his mom, and that'll grow big and strong and know right from wrong. Well, thank you for giving us a son. We're gonna love you, love Dad and your mom. Thank you for giving us a son. We're gonna love you, love Dad and your mom. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. So I wrote that song, little boy, and my wife was really stoked to tell me the sex of the baby, and I was like, well, no, let's have fun with it. So she'd gotten me a fancy bottle of whiskey for my birthday, Whistle Pig Rye, really good if you've not had it. And I also had Jim Beam laying around. I said, listen, if it's a boy, because I wanted a boy, I was like, pour me a shot of Whistle Pig Rye. And if it's a little girl, pour me a shot of Jim Beam. Either way, I'm getting whiskey, so I ain't mad. But I took one little sniff, and I was like, yes, it's a little dude. And little dude just turned 2. Thanks. This next song is called When We Were Kids, and it's I guess it's my only pseudo-political song, but here goes. Many degrees in the unemployment line. The color of your collar doesn't matter this time. The boys on the hill play the fiddle while this place burns. Lady Liberty sheds tears as she walks the plank, forced off a bridge in Brooklyn, I think. As she takes the plunge, we lose all we've learned. Maybe just for once we'll remember what we read in history books. Whoa, as the ship is sinking, it's clear we never took a look. Whoa, our voices loud and our hearts are strong, like when we were kids singing punk rock songs. And if you don't have heart, you might as well be dead. Seems that by now we've all lost our choice. Sooner or later it might be a voice, but if we sing together, we just might get hurt. Maybe just for once we'll remember what we read in history books. Whoa, as the ship is sinking, it's clear we never took a look. Whoa, our voices loud and our hearts are strong, like when we were kids singing punk rock songs. If you don't have heart, you might as well be dead. Our voices loud and our hearts are strong, like when we were kids singing punk rock songs. If you don't have heart, you might as well be day. Our voices loud and our hearts are strong. Like when Sam Cooke sang, oh, a change is gonna come. If you don't have soul, you might as well be dead. One more time. Our voices loud and our hearts are strong. Can we were kids singing punk rock songs? If you don't have heart, if you don't have soul, then man, you'll never have no rock and roll. If you don't have heart, you might as well be dead. If you don't have soul, you might as well be dead. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks, brother. Thank you so much. Am I cool to unplug?
Ladies and gentlemen, this week's event is brought to you by Asbury Park Cotton Candy. Their floss is boss. That's right. All right, let's do the week of events. Let's see if I can get through it without stumbling. Monday, July 16th, Bone and Marrow, the Clydes, and Terra Dente are at the Wonder Bar. That's immediately following the show. I'm going to be there. Go to the Wonder Bar. Everyone here, come to the Wonder Bar. Lions Beach Party's at the Anchors Bend. That's happening right now. Go there. Be on your phone. Watch the stream. Drive. We condone it. Tuesday, July 17th, the Well Wish and Matt Telijo are at Pierce Memorial Church in Farmingdale. That's at 7:30 p.m. Mid 400 Records presents Young Legs, Trim Tabs, Kate Sikora, and the Well Wisher, the Pet Shop in Jersey City. That's at 8 p.m. Megan O'Shea hosts Matt Fisher, Riley Shiro, and Brian Erickson. Never heard of him at the downtown Red Bank at 8 p.m. And of course, the Vlasic Classic open mic at the Chubby Pickle, hosted by the one and only Cranston Dean. It's at the Chubby Pickle. It's in Highlands. There's alcohol. Come the fuck out. Wednesday, July 18th, Electric Six and OneMore at Monty Hall in Jersey City. That's at 9 p.m. Thursday, July 19th, Dave Vargo and Ashley McKinley, love you Asher, Novita Bar, Bistro and Lounge in Metuchen at 7 p.m. The Bad Blooms, Brian Rothenbeck, Renee Maskin and the band Low Light, Parquet City in New Brunswick at 8 p.m. The Brixton Riot and Dramarama will be performing as part of his 90.5 The Night Songwriter on the Beach series. That's at the 5th Avenue Boardwalk in Belmar. And my band, The Burns, the biggest jabronis you ever met in your lifetime, are at the Yacht Club. We got Rachel and Adopkin and Pale Ramon out of New York City. That starts at 8:30, let's say. Who knows? I can, but I can't. I have to go. See, now I'm slowed down. We lost some momentum. Cranston doesn't know what to do. Friday, July 20th, happy birthday, Dana Sellers of the band Low Light. I love you, Dana, you're the best. RJ Nobles will be celebrating the release of his new album. Also playing are Catch Me If You Can, Tim Hickson, and Jordan Smith. That's at the Asbury Hotel. That's at 8:30 p.m. Saturday, July 21st, happy birthday, Bob Macon of Making Waves, the Macon, the Mythkin, the Legendkin. On Saturday, Ronette and the Smiths, Jamie Coppa and Terra Dente, and Low Light are at John and Peters in New Hope at 8 p.m. A lot of Low Light happening. Artisan Collective will be hosting 3 Degrees of Photography featuring the works of our good friend and part-time crew member Bart Lentini, 43 Bot Sheet in Red Bank. I love you, Bart. You're the best. Beach Rats, Stag Party, Fuck It I Quit, and School Drugs are at the AP Brewery at 7 p.m. Mike Montry Band is at Langosa Lounge at 9 p.m. And finally, Sunday, July 22nd, John Langford's Four Lost Souls, Reineke, is that it? Reineke? Sure, why not? And Low Light are at the Old Franklin Schoolhouse at 1 p.m. Low Light, take a day off, guys. Jesus. And of course, close out your weekend with Let's Get Folked Up 2. Joe Smith, Colton Kaiser, Sal Boyd, Joseph Altamiller, and our 2 guests this week, Cranston Dean and Chris Brown, parentheses, AP. Did we get that on purpose? Who's to say? Chris will make up a snarky answer on the top of his head. You son of a bitch. Oh, you got me good on that one. That's at the Asbury Beer Garden. Now, ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, put your hands together for Cranston Dean! Love you, baby.
Love you too, man.
You want some cotton candy?
Oh, sure.
All right, cool.
Can you stuff it?
Yeah, no, you start playing and I'll just feed it to you.
Not too much, because I don't want to choke on it. Oh, this is expert packaging, though.
Just a little taste.
It's all organic though. No processed sugar.
Say you like it. Say you like it. They're giving us money.
I like it. No, it is pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm not a sweets guy. Here's a salty song. It's off my new album coming out whenever it comes out on Thriving Error. It's called Ashes and Scratch-Offs. This song's called Semi-Automatic. When I wake up in the afternoon, I see the cycle on the daily news. It never seems to shock me anymore. It's just running repeats, that's all we do. When I wake up in the morning and they hop a bus and they go to school. Lockouts, lockdowns, check your lockers. And here's a box to hold your bones for you. So keep the flag at half-mast, leave it there till half-past. No moon. Leave the rifles coming, keep the Bible thumping if it's too soon. Forgive us, Father, for we know not what we do. When I think of those I love the most, Founding Fathers and the Holy Ghost, they all made it through their childhood years, never dwelt among our nation's tears. So when I wake up in the afternoon I see the cycle on the daily news, it never seems to shock me anymore. If it's running repeats, that's all we do. So keep the flag at half-mast, leave it there till half-past. The new moon. Keep the rifles coming, leave the Bible thumping if it's too soon. Forgive us, Father, for we know not what we do. Forgive us, Father, for we know not what we do. Until it's semi-automatic, patriotic fabric, drape it on my coffin. I'll let you know when we get there. I've been to the mountains, I've been through this country, I've seen both our oceans, and I moved to the city screaming, keep the flag at half-mast, leave it there till half-past. The new moon. Leave the rifles coming, keep the Bible thumping if it's too soon. Forgive us, Father, for we know not what we do. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Forgive us, Father, for we know not what we do.
Hey, Cran, where'd you get that guitar?
Oh, thank you very much, Kevin. I got this Lure guitar priced at over $1,400 from the Project Matters. Wow. Yeah, and they you can give it up for them. This to me?
Why did they give it to you, Graham?
I have no idea, Chris, because like I said earlier in my interview, I don't answer emails or phone calls. My voicemail box has been full since at least 2013. And that's not a lie. Like maybe Bruce did call me. Nah, he didn't call me. Call me, Bruce. Come on, get at me. No, but Karen High from the Project Matters lobbied for me to get this guitar despite me not answering any of her phone calls or emails or social media reach outs. She eventually gave it to me, and she also gave us the opportunity to play at the Resurgence Festival in Atlantic City from the 14th through the 16th of September, and there's a bunch of Asbury Park bands that are going to be there as well. So if anybody wants to gamble with me down in Atlantic City, let's go. Yeah. I'm also going to take these ones we lost on, because if you give 10 losing tickets in, you have the $1 million replay. So I'm going to $1 million replay.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what I didn't. Anyway, this next song is from the last album we put out, and it's called "I Got the Shakes." I got the shakes, I got the shivers, and I'm heading downtown and I'm hoping that it all delivers. I got the shakes, yeah, I got the trembles. Oh, you did, but I'm hoping that you don't remember. 'Cause then it's just hollyhocks of turpentine and hemlock in my brandy wine. St. Peter said I'll be designed, I remember. Well, she's a radiant patchwork architect. She won't give off her intellect. As shady as high noon ever gets, but I love her. 'Cause I got the shakes, I got the shivers, and I'm heading downtown and I'm hoping that it all delivers. I got the shakes, yeah, I got the trembles. Oh, you did, but I'm hoping that you don't remember. Then I can Pete Mon pick another tune on a red hot feathered afternoon. There's flies in May and bugs in June, but whatever. Well, it's a peck of pickled pep talks here and through one and out my other ear, where years and fears and cheers and tears come together. 'Cause I got the shakes, I got the shivers, and I'm heading downtown and I'm hoping that it all delivers. I got the shakes, yeah, I got the trembles. Oh, you did, hoping that you don't remember. Oh, candy coat my cigarette, you figure eight Confederate, the Ambrose Channel amulet through the winter. Whether it's late July or February, it's a long, long way to Tipperary, by plane, by boat, by bus, by ferry, but whatever. 'Cause I've got the shakes, I got the shivers, and I'm heading downtown and I'm hoping that it all delivers. I got the shakes, yeah, I got the trembles. Oh, you did, hoping that you don't remember. I got the shakes, I got the shivers, heading downtown and I'm hoping that it all delivers. I got the shakes, I got the trembles. Oh, you did, I'm hoping that you don't remember. Well, I owe you a debt, but I'm hoping that you don't remember. Ooh, I owe you a debt, but I'm hoping that you don't. That you don't remember. Ba-boom-ba-boom.
So much. Thank you so much.
Can we do a picture? We're doing pictures?
We're doing this.
Let's just gather.
Chris Brown, Cranston Dean for Chris Dubrow, our new location at Outpost City in Asbury Park. I have been, and I remain Brian Erickson. Good night, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Great job.
Thanks, yo.